This week we are going to be finishing programming off our points and starting on the ballasting. Well, I've wired up the decoder now. You can see the little lights come on. So the cable goes through the board up into the other power wires, and then it all comes down here and then wires into the back of the controller box, which is connected to the Wi-Fi, so I can control it through the iPad. The other decoder over there, same thing. I've wired him back, put the wires all the way through, up coming into here. So yeah, going down into the same control unit. If you remember, on the iPad, we can play with our layouts or design our layouts. So I've got the little track symbols. I can sort of put little pieces of track on, move them around, do what I want with them. So I can join them up together, make different layouts using curves and things. So that's how we build our track. So you'll see on here, just get rid of those. You see here, we've built our whole layout here. So you can see I've got all my sidings here, all my crossovers, the tunnels, these are tunnels, there's a bridge there at the back. So this is the diagram of all the complete layout. Now for each little turnout, I can then set some certain settings. So I can tell the computer what number point that is. So this is set up as point number 1. So if you remember on the board, we've designed that as number 1, or wrote that down as number 1. For example, this little point down here, that's now number 3 point. So you can see number 3 comes up. So every little point has its own number. So now, once we've designed our layout, and that's all designed, then we can go ahead and run the layout. So now here you'll see I've got the map, the track map, so that now when I'm pushing the points, it's then going to be changing the points on the actual layout itself. But what I need to do now is I need to program the actual decoder. So we'll go through that. I'll show you how to do that. On the decoder, so this is the one for number 4. You can see we've got the wires going out to the motor on the point. These are all the different connections. We're not using these connections, we don't need to. And then you'll see here, there's a little switch. So now if I flick that switch over to that position, and then now when I activate the iPad for number 4, then I can basically program that particular point. So I just activate it on the iPad, hitting the number 4 button. And then now the system has read that, so that now when I set that to read, and then now when I'm going to activate it, I press the button, and you can hear now, click the points clicking. So there he goes. Actually, let me show you the point, hold on. There's point number 4, and there he goes, number 4. So now I've got to program all of the other 16 points or 16 decoder slots so that we activate those on the map. A bit more programming we need to do. So now this number 1 point here, it shows straight on the iPad, but when I look on the track, can you see that it's actually curved? So if I now flick that to go curved, see now it should be curved, and you see now on the layout it's straight. So now that means I've got to reprogram that particular point. So what we do is we go into our control station, I click on the point, I go into my settings, and now can you see I can choose the other way around. So let me switch those the other way around, and then we'll come back, save our changes, go back into the control. So now at the moment it's showing straight. So now I'm going to flick the curved, and you see now it's on curved. Let's go back and flick it on straight again, put him back straight. So there's he's on straight. And then now you see the point has gone back straight again. So now I've got to do that for all of the other points, just check them to make sure that they're all going in the right direction. And then I go back and then reprogram the iPad to make sure that they're all synchronized. If you remember, points number 11, 11A here, and 11B, I've wired those together. So they go into the decoder. On section 11, you see both wires going into the decoder. Now I've got a bit of a problem if I take you around the other side. And if you see now, these points are wired together. So you can see at the moment, that one is straight and that one is curved. So I've wired them up both the same way, which I guess is correct. But of course now I need to wire one of them up the other way so that they both go curved together and they both go straight together. So I'm just going to change that wiring around and we'll see if we can fix that problem. I've rewired those points now. So if you watch now, when I hit the switch on the iPad, can you see they're both changed together in the right direction now? So they're both straight and then now they're both curved. So I'm happy with that rewiring, sorry. So now I've checked all the other programs and everything seems all fine. So as you see, I can change points on the other directions as well. You go to the top one, there he goes. So as I say, yeah, I've got everything all programmed up, so I'm happy now. I can program in some routes now so that all the points will change, so I can do a loop at the same time. So I can do a bit of programming for that. But basically now all the points and the decoders and wiring and the iPad, everything's all set up and ready to run the trains. Well, I've set up my programming, so you see here I've got all my different loops and things. So for example, if I want to bring the train into this particular section here, at the moment those points are straight. So now I can set my route here, pressing the button. And can you see now it makes sure that all the points are set in the correct direction for that train to come in. Now at the moment this point here is straight, this one's straight here as well. So now I want the train to come in this particular loop. So I can hit the button and then now you see it sets the points that are curved and that one's straight for me so that the trains can come into that particular loop. So if I now want the outside loop, at the moment that point's curved and that point is also curved, and I want to run the outside loop, let me just press the outside loop button. So you see now the green line's on the outside, and you see now these points are all straight and in the correct position to run the trains. So all our programming done. And it's quite good to have all these little selections that we can run different trains. I can press another button here that sets that route on that one, for example. Maybe I want to put a train into that little siding. So I can press that button that puts the train in that siding. Maybe he wants to go in that siding. So then I can press that one. So it resets all the points for me and allows me to move the trains around. Well, we talked about cutting down those spikes. So now I'm going to use my Dremel with a cutting disc, and obviously with my safety glasses on, I am going to cut those metal spikes off. Just like fireworks nights and sparklers. Well, something that I got for Christmas was a little 060 Ginty in N scale. So that's quite cool. So I've not opened it up yet. So here is the actual train. Take him out of his box, got the instructions there. Take him out. And we can just sit him on the test track, see how he looks. There he goes, a little train on the test track. Now, I haven't put a chip in him yet, so I can't actually drive him with the digital system. So that's the next thing I've got to do, is to fit the little digital chip into the locomotive, and then I can program him up. So I need to look at my instructions, how I'm going to fit the chip. So in here somewhere will probably be an instructions leaflet on where we have to put in the chip. Maybe not in there, somewhere in here. Oh yeah, there you go. So DCC decoder, this model has a 6-pin right angled socket in the cab area. So there we go. So we're going to, can you see there? There's that little connector. So I'm going to have to take the loco body off, then we can attach the chip to the connector, and then off we go. Well, after many months of thinking about it, I'm finally getting round to start ballasting some of the track on the main board. I need to ballast inside the tunnels, these two sections here, so that when the trains come in, if you're looking in the tunnel, you can still see the ballast for a little while. I don't need to go very far, maybe somewhere up to about here. But I'm going to put the ballast in there. We'll brush it in with a little brush, well, I'll use the little spoon to put it in to start with. And then we will have to put in some glue. So I've got my glue, and if you remember, I've got my little pipette here that I can use to put the glue in on the stones once they're in. So a few things to do, but we'll start that process, and we'll see how we get on. We start by putting the stones down, then brushing them in, then we put in the glue on, and then we do exactly the same on the top section. Now we've put all that down, we'll give it, well, it will dry overnight basically, and then tomorrow we can just clean the track and clean out any last little stones that are stuck in between the track that we need out of the way. We're going to ballast these sections here on the sidings, so I'm going to try and do all three of these together. We'll put some glue down the centre just to hold that ballast a little bit better, maybe down the sides, and then we will ballast the centre using our little ballast machine for the ballast itself, and then of course put the glue on. So we start by putting down that PVA, then we put on some stones, then we use that ballast machine, smooth it all out, brush it in a bit, hoover up some excess, and then we spray it with water, and then we're putting our glue on, and then we do exactly the same thing again for the next one. You might be able to see here, there's a little stone stuck on the side of the track where I sprayed the other siding with water. This has got wet, so the stones have gone in there and got a bit wet. So I think I'm going to have to wait for that to dry off so that I can get those stones off the track. Otherwise, if I put the glue on now, it's going to be a lot harder to get those stones off later. So I guess the lesson I learned from this is to put the ballast down on all the three tracks first, then spray them with the water and put the glue on afterwards, rather than trying to do them one at a time. Another thing maybe to remember is if you're having a station platform by some track, you probably want to fix the platform in before you ballast the track. I mean, for one thing, look, my ballast machine doesn't really fit there. It's pushing the platform back, so it won't fit in there. So probably if you're doing ballasting by a platform, you need to do that by hand. So use a little spoon, put the ballast in and brush it along, and then put the glue in afterwards. So yeah, ballast after you've put your platform stations in. So a few areas of track here I'm not going to be able to do for now, but I can carry on with some other sidings. So we finished a lot of the ballasting, or some of the ballasting there in the centre. We did those two tracks. I've got another one in the centre to do when the others are dry. I've ballasted the shoulders of these tracks here. So a lot of the shoulders I've done. This helps, when I ballast the main track, it helps the ballast to stay on the main track. We use a little bit less ballast, and it stops it all falling down the sides, particularly on the elevations. You see here we've got all these elevations, so the ballast normally will just fall down the sides. So I've just put some glue on, glued it all around the edges. On this front section as well, I've ballasted the front here all the way along. I've ballasted these two sidings, so they've got to dry out. And again, I've done the shoulders on these two particular sections and on the inside here. And then also you see at the back, I've ballasted all the way around there. And remember, I've done all the tunnel entrances, all 8 tunnel entrances, 4 on this side, and then 2 there, 2 more there. So I've done a lot of ballasting today, so quite happy. Tomorrow I will come in once it's dry and I will hoover up all the excess so that we don't have lots of spare ballast flying around. Today we're going to hoover up the remains of all the ballast, the loose ballast. So we've put our sock over the hoover and we will just hoover that up. So we're going to do that for the rest of the layout as well. So I won't film everything, otherwise it'd be a bit boring. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
8:30 p.m. Weekdays and Sundays. The Down Coastal Special leaves Euston for Glasgow